The next section of Matthew's Gospel, chapter 13, covers Jesus' parables on the kingdom. First we hear the parable of the sower. Jesus goes to the lake to teach again, and the crowd is so large that he climbs into a boat to teach. Later, the disciples ask him about his parables. Jesus tells them that they have been blessed with the knowledge of the secret kingdom of God. They are insiders. He says that the crowds are on the outside, so he speaks to them in parables so that they won't understand, in fulfillment of Isaiah's prophecy about the people who see but don't perceive, and who hear but don't understand. The people listening to the parable have become a parable unto themselves. In rabbinic teaching, every parable has at least one secret or key. With Jesus, most of his parables had at least two. First, a high-level secret, that of the kingdom of God or kingdom of heaven, which would be better termed in English the reign of God because it describes how God's people should live now to demonstrate his reign in their lives here on earth. And then a second secret, which is a demonstration of how we are to act in the kingdom, is the most obvious import in the parable. In teaching the secrets or keys, rabbis were expecting two things from their listeners: to understand their secret and to accept that teaching and apply it to their walk. Jesus then has to explain the parable to his disciples, because even though they are insiders, they just don't get it. Here's his explanation. The people are the soils. The seed is the planting of the kingdom in them. The seed sown along the path and eaten by the birds represents people who hear the word, but Satan takes it away. The seed sown on rocks, whose roots never grow, represents people who receive the word with joy, but quickly fall away under persecution. The seed sown among thorns that gets choked represents people who worry about wealth and life and forget the word given to them. The seed sown on good soil represents people who hear the word, accept it, and reproduce it. We then get to hear the parable of the weeds and the parables of the mustard seed and the yeast. The kingdom is like a mustard seed because it starts small and grows huge, and it's also like tiny yeast, which works through 60 pounds of flour to make dough. The text says that Jesus always spoke in parables to the people, but that when he was alone with his disciples, he would explain them. He does this with the parable of the weeds. The sower of the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed represents the people of the kingdom. The weeds are the people of the evil one. The enemy who sows the bad seed is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age. The harvesters are the angels. We then hear the parable of the hidden treasure and the pearl. The kingdom is like treasure hidden in a field that a man obtains after selling all he has to buy the field. And it's also like a merchant who sells all he has to obtain the most excellent pearl. We then hear the parable of the net. The kingdom is like a net catching all kinds of fish. And the fisherman separates the bad ones from the good ones and throws the bad ones in the fire. Jesus asks them if they understand what he's saying, and they say yes. He says to them, "Every teacher of the law who has become a disciple in the kingdom of heaven is like the owner of a house who brings out of his storeroom new treasures as well as old."